Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Huck Central presented by Southern Wesleyan University. We're here for round number 3, the front 9 at the Locomotive Course. It is Sunday morning, also known as Mother's Day, and I am joined by none other than Hannah McBeth. Hannah, so glad you decided to come back for yet another round of commentary.
Me too. We're going to start off with the same hole number 1, par 3, 290 feet. And contrary to popular belief, I am not a mother. Please stop DMing me.
Well, it'd be weird if other people were... Okay, no, we're not going to go there. But no, what we do have, though, is some lead card MPO action. And Chris Dickerson currently tied with your husband, Paul McBeth. Randon, Latta, just a stroke behind them, and Michael Joe.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to do on this hole. Just throw something nice and straight and controlled. Little better conditions than we saw the other day.
Paul with a putter.
The Lunas are very stable, in case folks at home are wondering. Very stable putter.
The place to miss is off to the left if you're not going to throw it as perfect as Chris did. A little bit left, wide open, no danger over there. Should be an easy look from inside the circle. Randon going right at it.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And fourth and final to tee is Michael Joe.
Looks like it's a bit of a putting competition between these guys. Not so much for Chris, but mostly Paul and MJ.
You see not much action on the flag. It's a little after 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. No problems for Paul.
Oh, just a little left.
MJ just absolutely losing it after that putt, too. Did you see him explode?
No. He doesn't lose it.
He never does.
He is always in control of himself. Definitely an uncharacteristic miss, though.
And he certainly felt like he had it. It was just off center. And I feel like you throw that putt the exact same spot 10 more times, it probably stays in 9 of those times. So he will lose a stroke to the group. He'll remain at 19 under. Everyone else picks up the birdie. Big shout out to Ish over at Down South Dis. As we move over to hole 2, which otherwise known as hole 11 in the previous layout. So we're going to see a little shift. This hole providing plenty of challenge. You usually want to throw to the mouth into the opening, and then from there you've got a little over 200 feet. And a drop off behind the basket. And you can see Chris just barely putting any effort into that because he's just playing it for that position. And that's exactly where you want to be. Now we've seen Paul struggle on this in the first 2 rounds. We'll see what his game plan is here.
Kind of seems like he's changing his game plan up, but he just doesn't put enough on it. Yesterday we saw him, or last round we saw him fade off to the right, and now he's on the left-hand side. So keeping it interesting, but not the way you want to be out in the disc golf course.
Round 1, we also saw him pull it off to the right-hand side, and we'll see if he can get it dialed in here. He's got one more opportunity to play it in round 4. We saw Randon very aggressive during round number 2, and it looks like he's trying to do the same.
Yeah, I'm not sure that came out. It looked like it was fading really, really hard to the right, or turned over really hard to the right. Yeah, I think this is the best play. I've seen it executed now. Oh, and a little bit of a roll, but I've seen it executed well now from MJ twice, and If that's the most consistent shot, that's the shot you should be throwing.
And as the guys are waiting, they're talking a little strategy probably of exactly where you're trying to be. Well, or maybe they're talking about chicken. I don't know.
I think it's the first one.
Watching the two of them battle it out. I said earlier that if your name's not Dickerson or Johansen, it's usually tough to win this tournament. I think Dickerson has won this 3 previous times. MJ has finished runner-up to him a couple of those times, and then MJ has won this. So an event that these two have very much dominated over the last few years.
Yeah, this is the type of golf that they're used to, that Carolina golf. It's tight and wooded, technical shots.
That should be a good forehand there for Chris. Paul just trying to put this on a turnover out of his hand to have it then flex out later.
Yeah, the problem is with Paul having to scramble like that, he needs to cut off a lot of distance on that second shot. So he's having to pull out a little bit of a wider rim disc, something a little faster, and unfortunately with that, there's a lot of room for error, not a lot of control. If anyone can do it, it's him. But still, the margin of error.
All right, enough with the gushing already. Enough. In all fairness, as we're seeing MJ here line up, was it at all difficult or weird for you to watch? I know, of course, you should have a little pull or bias for Paul, but last round was the first time you've ever commentated post-production. Was that at all out of the ordinary? Weird in any way?
No, because I just see it as disc golf, honestly. And with what he said and how I know he's trying to break down these holes, I think I have a lot more insight, so I feel really comfortable talking about them. I mean, when a 5-time world champion teaches you how to break down the holes at this course, you have a pretty easy go at commentating on it. So hopefully that doesn't escape me today.
Well, he might have a look at saving his par. Here's Randon for his 3rd shot. And
great tree. Great tree. Yeah, that slopes down pretty quickly, as you can see from behind the basket. So that's a great tree hit from Randon. And I believe this is Paul's 3rd shot. Just coming up short.
Actually, I feel like he had another shot in there. This is Chris for his 3.
I like that Chris, I just want to, I guess, note that Chris didn't straddle putt. And I like that he went to a staggered stance because he's able to shift his momentum a little bit more. And if you're in a straddle, it's really just getting into that squat position, loading your body weight all the way down and then coming forward. Chris kind of needed to put a little bit of ante on it. So I like that he staggered out. That was pretty cool. He came up short, but still, he was definitely in control of it the whole time.
MJ saying he get a little revenge for the spit on 1. He's going to pick up the birdie, and that's going to pick up strokes on the rest of the field. He's got 1 there. He got 1 on Dickerson and 2 on Paul, because Paul did end up bogeying. So Paul's struggle on hole number 2 or 11, whatever we want to call it.
Then this becomes just a must-get birdie for these guys. Hole 3, par 3, 235 feet. Again, don't want to throw anything over to the right side. It's just going to eat up your discs. If you get to the left side, there's jail over there too. You really just want to walk up straight, throw something a little bit stable, nice and straight up the fairway. Let the disc do all the work. Let it hyzer towards the basket, just like that. Well, that'd be nice for him.
As usual, MJ knows when he throws a good shot. He also knows sometimes if it's a bad shot, but he doesn't even need to see it land because he knows exactly where it's going to be. And Chris just a few feet outside of MJ, but looks like an easy birdie opportunity. Wow.
Oh, getting a little sneaky there for Randon. He adjusted his walk up at the last second, and I think he walked right up to those trees. Looks like Paul's kind of doing the same, but he's got his eyes on a different line.
He also pulled it a little bit tight.
Yeah, well, sometimes the tee pad, you can pick the right shot, do everything right, and then you walk up incorrectly and it throws off your whole shot. Disc golf it's tough. It's a lot to learn.
A lot more cerebral than most of us would give it credit for, probably.
A lot more that can go wrong. It's a good scramble there from Randon. Here's Chris with his birdie putt.
And as you'd expect, I'm going to guess that hole 3 here was probably one of the easiest holes. And sure enough, the stats on pdga.com tell me exactly that second easiest hole on the course, averaging 2.33. So definitely one of those must-get birdies. Big shout out to Dylan over at Pastry Dyes. He was dying discs in between shots out on the course. I don't know what he's doing, but
Hole 4, par 3, 260 feet. This is a bit of a scramble shot, or at least it feels like it. Nice flat forehand. Again, let the disc come in, but in the last hole you're throwing uphill. Now you're taking in that downhill consideration. Wow. No problems there from MJ.
And he beats that last tree.
Lots of movement on the green. Little too much. Simmer down, MJ.
Comes in a little hot, but does have a look. Slightly uphill, about circle's edge. I think we're going to see a little more of a flex to this shot coming out of Chris.
Yeah, I like that because when you put it on that Annie angle to start out, it really slows the disc down as it comes in. Now, in the previous round, we saw Paul, and he didn't get enough on it. Puts a little bit more on it, but just onto the wrong line.
Yeah, surprising to see him struggle with this on the last round. Like you were just saying, he was short and on the right side, and then maybe trying to overcompensate a little bit and caught the single tree on the left side here.
Yeah, I don't want to make excuses for him. I know he's my husband. I just think the courses that Chris and Paul and even MJ have been playing on tour at this point in the season do not reflect this type of play. I think if they were in maybe the Northeast, I'm thinking of Maple Hill, maybe like at Smuggler's Notch where it gets a little bit more technical, he might feel more confident with his bag, but he had to change everything up, and he's throwing shots he doesn't usually throw on tour right now.
We'll file that under the excuse department.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Randon having a tough time on this hole as well. Just trying to clean things up, get himself onto the green.
Yeah, it feels when you walk away from it, you always think, man, I really should have birdied that hole. But yet we've seen plenty of our players having problems. In fact, 3 out of the 4 here challenged to find the green. And even MJ, who's the closest, still has a 30-foot putt.
Yeah, Randon drove up from Florida, so he was kind of just hanging out by himself for this tournament. So Paul and I went to lunch with him a couple times. And he kept talking about how weird it was to be competing on a card with men of this caliber in the sport. I mean, Chris Dickerson and Paul McBeth, Michael Johansen. These are like some of the best players that our sport has seen. And Randon was just like, I believe in myself, and I believe that I have what it takes to take down a tournament. But when you get up there and you realize, oh my gosh, I'm playing against Paul McBeth, it's kind of surreal. So he said having to stomach that was sort of a struggle for him mentally, just needing to remember, okay, don't fangirl, just focus on your own game.
Yeah, and like you and Paul, I've seen Randon come up throughout the last few years. He's just been such an incredible player and really honed his skills. Mm-hmm. I see him in Florida quite often and at a number of other events, and certainly a young star here and proving he belongs right here on a lead card. I would have looked so dumb if he missed that.
Yeah, no, wouldn't have looked great, but he made it.
And you're seeing the two numbers on the baskets, the 4 and the 13. Again, they're playing the Locomotive Course here all day on Sunday. And so you'll be seeing that second number, even though a few of the holes are the same as the previous round. Here's hole 5, 180 feet. We've seen jump putts. We've seen standstills. We've seen overhands. A little bit of everything to find the island green. You must come to rest on the island. MJ was already getting up and throwing.
That doesn't surprise me.
Before our cameramen were even ready.
Yeah, and I love that they mulched this. I said this last round too, but I love that they mulch it so that when you do throw a good shot and you hit the island, it's almost guaranteed to stick.
Unless you're bringing in too much of that boom sauce. Nice, gentle shot like that will always stick.
I think we're going to have one of those Paul McBeth jump putts here.
That'll work. Is he just trying to show off? Say he jump putted a hole?
I never know.
Here's Randon. He's got the forehand. It's got to fight back. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Yeah, he did look nervous throwing that shot. Unfortunately, it never connected with the green. And either way, though, I think it's you take it from this drop zone.
Yeah, any shot that does not land on the green goes to the drop zone. Even if it were to hit the basket and roll off the green, you would still go to the drop zone. A very makeable par safe opportunity.
Did I miss something? You didn't hear about my tell me you hit.
Another birdie for MJ, no problems. It's going to move him up to tied for second temporarily.
And the battle that's been unfolding here is incredible. Seeing, Chris with the 24, Paul at 23, MJ at 22, and we're going to see Randon drop a stroke to the card with the lone bogey. Now they have to go find the one that got away, Randon's. Now we're going to take a look at hole number 6. So this was previously hole 16, but we're actually, or 15, but moving to a different tee area, but the same basket. Is that right? Slightly different shot?
So it's a par 3, 250 feet this time. So the other tee is just off to the right and a little bit further back. This one's closer. So same basket, just a different line.
And coincidentally, it almost could be even a similar line in that you're trying to throw that high, the same gap that you're hitting here on that high right side would be the hyzer route you'd be taking from the longer tee. But Chris says, well, I'm going to go up the left side, play the forehand route. There's OB deep of the pin.
Yeah, that's really well done. I would say those gaps are pretty wide. I mean, Chris seems like he's doing something a little with, he's throwing a forehand with something stable, so it's understable, so it's kind of coming out of it and continue to move. I'm getting all caught up in my words, Terry.
Sometimes words are tough. And you'd think we'd edit any mistakes we make, but
Yeah.
We keep it real here. As Randon carries just past the pin, probably to about 25 feet. Paul, 4 or 5, maybe 4 feet inside the circle. That's a good conversion. I believe he missed it in rounds 1 and 2 from the other tee, so I'm sure he's looking for a little revenge on this basket.
Yeah, Randon's looking to make this. Maybe has a little bit more pressure on him because he's coming off of the bogey on the previous hole. Well done. There's that MJ commentary that people sign up for.
Just sneaking over to the edge.
He was flirting with that OB just a bit.
Yeah, he certainly was. That was way back by where our cameraman, Dylan, was, and he's probably thinking he was safe back there. Came in with a little bit of heat, but nonetheless, we're going to have 4 birdies, star frame here on hole number 6. And they're going to walk back across the little creek to a different tee that we find on the next hole.
I wish I had some double G craft jerky right now. Definitely needed it when we were competing on these courses twice a day, but... Hole number 7, part 3, 355. This is a different tee location than we've seen before. No more Mandos, no more 100-foot tees. This is a little bit more of a pump. OB all up on the left side. The rough is on the right. You can play the skip, but the grass is so thick over there that it doesn't really work. So you've got to throw something with a wide rim because you want that movement.
How quick does the water's edge or that creek come into play?
It comes up quick. Yeah, right on the circle's edge, I would say.
Chris, nice and flat. Maybe just the slightest turn, but it's coming back with some good stability.
Yeah, you can see it come into frame now. All of those white little flags are OB. And that creek moves quick. Like, you get a disc in there and
She
it
gone.
takes off. Yeah.
Paul goes with the putter.
Thank you. Exactly what I was going to say. Too much turn, no height.
Again, just beautiful, calm conditions, temperatures in the high 70s at this point.
Yeah, and I think I might have analyzed this hole a little bit incorrectly because I don't think these guys are trying to throw a wider rim disc, actually. Just seeing what they've selected off the tee. I don't know what molds they are specifically, but I'm seeing like the width of the rim isn't as wide as I would have thought. And I think it's so it doesn't take off and go OB past the basket. You know, they'd rather set up for a longer putt than take an extra stroke because their disc gets out of control in the green.
Yeah, they're not playing for that skip flare because that could get a little squirrely and find the OB water on the left. Paul's got some work to do from outside the circle.
Did you feed this ambiance into the coverage, or?
Yeah, just like the Masters coverage.
Just a little higher. Not going to repeat what he said, that's for sure.
I feel like that is off the tee and then on the putt. He's talking about just not having the right height dialed. But MJ
just is staring OB in the face, and he's like, who? OB? I don't know her. And just cashes the putts. It's just insane to me. I don't understand. He just doesn't care. And he doesn't need to.
No, and a good birdie by Chris after closest to the pin. Randon struggling here just a little bit, and he picks up the OB again, and then ultimately that leads to the bogey.
Paul falling behind by a stroke as well. He'll tap in for par.
They're going to move over to hole number 8. Big shout out to my boys back in Milwaukee area, Midi Disc Golf.
Oh. See, this is what I thought happened. So Chris was in the lead. Paul is allergic to cats. And now Chris is like, hey, let me go rub up on this cat, make my card mate have an allergic reaction. I see you, Chris.
Yeah, well, this is apparently Rascal, who lives next door to the course.
Rascal.
Yeah, Rascal.
That's so cute.
Paul taking pictures.
Oh, look, he said rub up on my bag, too.
So during the backup, just a little cat time with Rascal.
Oh, Randon's in on it, too. What in the... You guys, this is a conspiracy, a cat-spiracy.
This is actually Randon posing for his senior picture.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to use this.
He does look like...
All right.
Hole number 8, par 5, 740 feet. This is the first par 5, and I think the only one that we've seen this whole time. This one is long. Definitely just the same thing we've seen. Execute your shots, keep it out of the trees, keep it in bounds, and you'll be all right.
Yeah, just kind of a serpentining fairway.
Yeah, so you want to get up. The first shot is uphill, slight turnover, land right in the middle of the fairway. Nothing too complicated, but again, you fall out of position just a little bit, and it gets, what'd you say earlier?
Squirrely.
Squirrely.
Not
Okay.
like Rascal the Cat, but it can get a little bit squirrely, and I think we can really appreciate the shot that MJ had. We see Chris is just a little bit shorter and right of that, and we'll see if Paul can keep it clean. Oh, yeah, right next to MJ's.
Yeah, that'll work out really nice for him. A lot of backups on this hole for us anyways. Did you experience that following them?
Yeah, it just, I mean, when you got Rascal the Cat and everybody everybody
And
enjoying
seeing
their
your
time.
pictures.
Yeah, there's naturally
A
going to
lot's
be a backup.
going on. There's a lot going on.
Randon, as you can see, not much shorter than another drive there, but kind of an awkward stance going with the patent pending. And
Yeah, this isn't really a situation where you can bite off a lot of distance. It's mostly about setting yourself up for this shot that he's about to throw right here.
And Chris, although, you know, in a good position in terms of the trees, just an awkward stance, seeing his foot that high up and pretty much matching the shot by Randon.
Yeah.
Keeping it center fairway, though, which is obviously key.
This is the part that stresses me out, is when I'm like, okay, why does Paul look like he's trying to get a ton of distance on this shot? So Paul was throwing his disc super understable on a hyzer because he's trying to let it fade out, keep pushing forward. That's woods golf. And he just puts it on the wrong line. And I'm like, after commentating twice, that he should just, you know what?
Are you guys going to have
fine.
a talk after this?
No, because he has 5 world titles and I have none. And 2 European titles.
Okay. Yeah, you could see, though, just as you're saying, trying to get aggressive.
Yeah.
And then what I would typically deem that is he's going for the hero shot, trying to
Well,
make
yeah.
something when you're
Yeah.
not in position and try to make a recovery shot that's maybe a low percentage throw. Is that another way to look at it?
And he's not really far out of position. It's just not where he wanted to be. And now he's got to kind of do it again.
Catching a tree late, but covering quite a bit of ground first. Randon has a pretty similar look, just a little bit closer to the pin.
And there are some Mando trees on this hole because you don't want any Simon Lizottes coming out here and just throwing over all of these trees. So that's why these guys are going down the fairway. Randon has a lot of power behind his disc, but he just turns it over, puts it on too extreme of an angle, and it doesn't have a chance to come out. So I think we're going to be able to see Chris hopefully maybe correct from that. He's in a bit of a better position. But these shots are tough because you have to know the timing of your shots. And so if you put it on a certain angle, how many seconds until it comes out of that angle based on like how wide the fairway is. It's all about science again, Terry. That's what we keep coming back to here on these fairways.
Wow, you and your disc golf mythbusters. Have you talked to Elon Musk about any of your aerodynamics or any of the science you're working on?
Is this a podcast or is this commentary?
All right, well, MJ, trying to get that to flip up to flat.
That sneaks right out of there and onto the green, I think.
I think it looks like maybe just outside of the green, inside 40 feet at least. Paul's now out of position. Seems like a pretty makeable shot, though. Hole 8, although a par 5, is still playing as the single most difficult hole relative to par. So
I just want to say everything was fine until that cat showed up. Okay, well done.
Randon's 4th.
Okay.
Yeah, flashing right in front of the basket. That would have been a nice birdie from there. believe this is Chris's fourth as well.
Yeah, that just goes to show when Chris Dickerson is taking a 5 on a hole, it's a little tough to birdie. I mean, he threw 4 great shots and got himself up and into the circle. So par is a good score.
MJ had a good look there. He knew it out of his hand, though, just not quite enough. Paul will walk away with the par. So, believe it or not, with all 4 of these gentlemen taking 5s, they actually helped bring down the number. That was the average for this hole. Again, it averaged 5.58, so they were doing their best to lower that number. Big shout out to all my Patreon subscribers and supporters.
The only thing I read was disc golf guy, and I thought you were about to say big shout out to the disc golf guy.
I may have a big ego, but come on, I don't need to shout myself out.
Well, from one extreme to the other, hole number 9 is a par 3, 200 feet. So straight putter shot. Let's see what these guys can do. Slightly downhill, so when you're throwing downhill, it's going to automatically want to grab your disc and pull it a bit left. Tons of guardian trees. Wow.
If that doesn't
it's so hard to explain how good just the straight putter shot here is. It's so clutch.
Yeah, and if that doesn't scream MJ, North Carolina golf, I don't know what does.
Yeah, he'll have a circle putt, circle 1.
A big shout out. I got to get all these in with such incredible help. Paul's going to keep this one lower, trying to slide up to the pin.
Wow.
Okay, we're hit the pin.
Style points.
Dustin and Dylan out there hustling around. Dustin, who was doing the drone work. And then Brian and Todd, your tournament directors, along with Ish and everyone else that had any part of this event. Thank you guys so much.
Scrambling on this hole is not fun. Randon has a good forehand, and that can help a lot of the time. But even getting it out into the green, like we saw with Chris, can leave you with a really big putt. And if it's a putt for par, you've already not really had a great round, that can easily get in your head. So he's doing everything he can to stay focused.
Yeah, the fact that he's got to go with a roller makes things that much more challenging. Hannah, what kind of question and or request are we going to ask of our viewers here during round 3, front 9?
Well, I was going to mention earlier that I was surprised to see Randon sporting pants because it was really hot and really humid at these courses. So I want to know from everyone, weather permitting or doesn't matter, are you wearing pants or shorts to a tournament? Which is your go-to?
All right.
Genuinely curious. It blew me away that he's coming up here and he was just wearing pants. Because I'm like, he's very well dressed. But still, it's got to be like, that's really hot.
Well, here's Chris Dickerson, just a bit short.
I also think of like Eric Oakley at the Memorial every year, always wears pants. And I'm like, Eric, what is going on?
And a
It's
little
100
inside
degrees.
secret, we've seen Kale LaVisca wear pants quite a few times. Maybe in conditions you wouldn't think so, but there was a reason for that, a specific reason. Yeah, reason being, Kale has a really bad reaction to poison ivy. So if there's any chance of him getting it, he goes with the pants.
That could be a good reason to wear pants. I guess we'll find out.
All right, leave it in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff. Hannah, thank you for joining. We'll see you in the back 9.
See you in the back 9.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Here's a quick look at the scores thus far with a round and a half to go. Chris Dickerson out in front. Paul and Michael tied at that 25, and making a run up the leaderboard is Anthony Anselmo, the other young superstar. Again, we'll see you guys in the back 9 of round number 3.